Hello, gals, and welcome back to the Pageant Gal podcast, where I am your host, Maria Cuevas. Do you all know that I changed my last name? I finally officially changed my last name after being married for over a year and a month now. Finally, we got on the ball with that. But you can call me Maria the Pageant Gal. I prefer it. I think it sounds prettier, anyways. But we are here with another podcast episode. We are continuing the Miss Universe Canada recap debrief series with another episode. You've all been loving the content from my debrief, from things that you maybe didn't see that happen behind the week, stories that I've been sharing on Instagram and TikTok. So we're bringing you another one. And this one is going to be a little bit of a different take. So these are not, I already prefaced this, but these are not things that I would recommend for everybody. What we're talking about in today's episode is 5 things that I would go back and change about my particular performance that I don't think apply to everybody. These really only apply to me and the experience I went through that I literally can't go back and change now. But don't take what I'm about to say at face value. It's like, okay, Maria said I shouldn't do this, so I have to make sure I don't do that. That's not what I'm saying at all. This is just based on my own performance. And if you want to know more specifically what I do differently and the actions that I take and the strategies that I set up based on when this episode is coming out, you can purchase the replay of the VIP El Tocuyo Tell All, which I broke down every aspect of competition, my preparation, my performance, the feedback, things that happened, things that I believed didn't happen or did happen to cause in me not placing at this competition. The first one in 9 years. Woohoo, that's a new one under my belt. That'll be linked in the description box below. So that already happened, but you can go back and listen to it. It's a phenomenal resource if you plan on competing in this type of system in the future, which is super brand strategy based. All right, let's go into it. And I feel like this is also going to give you a lot of insight to my experience and what it was like for me to go into this competition. So I'm gonna give some context in some of these. So the very first thing that I would go back and change about my experience preparing for training, competing at Miss Universe Canada is that I would start, like when I tell you the millisecond that I decided I'm going to do this, or I might maybe, yes, yeah, want to do this, the second that that came into my mind, training should have began then. It should have began then. The minute that I was like, I think I'm going to do this, I physically should have gone all into preparation mode then. Why? So I decided in early, like first week of May 2025, that I wanted to do the local qualifier in my town that would send, if I won that, it would send me to Miss Universe Canada. So I already applied. Like I passed on a pageant title and I was in the airport on the way home, sending in my application for Miss Via Italia, which that was the prize package. You get a full ride scholarship to go to Miss Universe Canada. Knowing that Miss Universe Canada was starting in August, that gives what, May, June, July, 3 months to prepare, right? That's already not a lot. I already think if you're going to compete in a national, international system, that's got to start 6 months out. So I was already half the amount of time, but I've got a pretty good, understanding of the industry. 3 months, I knew I could do it, but I didn't. And there are some specific things that I'll share and some that I won't share about why I didn't start going all into preparation for Miss Universe Canada right away. The first one was that I didn't know if I would be accepted to Miss Via Italia. So this was Miss Via Italia was the first pageant I ever did 9 years ago. Back then you had to be Italian, you had to be within a certain age range. It followed very traditional pageant rules. Couldn't be married, couldn't have kids. I don't even think they had that like officially stated. So I didn't even fully know at the time of submitting my application if I was qualified to compete at my qualifier. I didn't know if they were allowing married women. I didn't know if they were allowing women over a certain age. I could assume based on the prize package, but you know what happens when we assume. So I didn't want to do that. So it took about a week or so of messaging with the director back and forth, Melina. Shout out Melina, that's my girl. To fully get the yes, you can be this, yes, you can be this, yep, you can have this. And before we actually got details of what the pageant included. So even without that, I still could have started training, right? I could have thrown caution to the wind. I could have put that all aside and said, nope, we're going to go train 100% in this because by the time Miss Via Italia happened on June 20th, hello, that's like a whole 4 to 6 weeks that I didn't get back that I could have really used, right? Like training body, training mind, um, just potentially working on getting some behind the scenes sponsors and community on board. Specifically thinking about just wardrobe, everything, right? Everything, right? Pageants are a lot, like getting it all prepared early out. Specifically, I will say with my physical training and my runway were the things I would have started much earlier out. However, I had a major life event happen and I thought my life was going to go in a very, very, very different direction. And for certain reasons, I wasn't able to start fully training. And I didn't even know if I was going to be competing. And things change very quickly as they do in life. And by the time that I won Miss Via Italia, my circumstances were much different. And I was able to go full in physically, mentally, energetically into my preparation that I wasn't able to do mid to end of May and for the first few weeks of June. And I won't go too much into that. I apologize for being, vague and unspecific. It's hard for me to talk about, but I was working with my circumstances at the time. I literally could not go back and change this now. But if I didn't have that life event happen, I know I would have started training physically and training my runway a lot more just because this is universe. When you're looking at big systems like this, I know that we're trying to rewrite the standard. I know that we're trying to let women of different body shapes and sizes be the exception and not the rule, but we're climbing an uphill battle. We're climbing an uphill battle, and everything that you do is under scrutiny. And even though we might say we accept all people and we might see other women being accepted, that doesn't mean that all of society and all of the judges and everybody involved is fully there yet. You know what I mean? And I'm just self aware enough to know that. So, looking back, that was something that I would go back and change the minute that I even thought about competing. I would have gone more full force when it came to my workouts, my eating habits, my runway training, and a little bit of like the preparation for interview. Okay, first thing. That's already a big one. A big one and kind of a heavy one. Let's take a collective, just deep breath. Like, pageants are a lot. They require a lot of you. And if you're not going to give yourself the time to prepare 6 to 12 months out, like I tell my clients, yeah, you're going to be cramming and you're probably going to look back and be like, wow, I wish I had more time. And that's what a lot of women I talk to who did sign up more than 6 months out said that they wish that they had more time. You don't get time back. So let this be your lesson. Okay, the second thing that I would go back and change, and again, I'm going to share with you what I'm going to share. Do not take this and be like, okay, Maria said I can't wear this, so I shouldn't wear that. No. But if I could go back, I would wear a different interview outfit. So the interview outfit I wore is not even on social media. I didn't even post about it because I was so annoyed with myself. So I truly do believe it is the person, not the outfit. But that's not just one statement in itself, right? The way that you dress does matter. The outfit that I wore is a lavish Alice, kind of like blush pink off the shoulder look. It is beautiful. I've worn it in interview before. I've got a best interview wearing that outfit. Every time I wear it at events, I get really great comments and a lot of compliments. It is a stunning outfit. It's one that I chose to wear because I like the way that I look in it. And some of the other ones that I already had, I had plans for other events or other days, and I didn't choose to wear them. Whatever. I chose the pink one to wear. The way that interview works at Universe, at least at Miss Universe Canada, is there's 10 judges and it's round robin. They call it speed dating. So you sit at one table for 2.5 minutes, then you go to the next, you go to the next. It's literally a 25-minute interview. And you're with your group of 10. We were in a group of 10 that we were in. And when I tell you, when I came down the elevators, when they called our group, and everybody was wearing pink. Everybody was wearing pink or white. There was one other girl who wore a different, I don't even know what color it was. It was like a mix of golds and browns. It was beautiful. And I was like, oh, I wish I was you right now. Because I was wearing pink and so was everyone else. They were either wearing pink or white. And it's funny. Of course, it's so funny because my backup interview outfit was white. So If there's one thing I hate, it's blending in. It's being grouped and like blending in with everybody in the color. At rehearsal, I don't care. I'll take pictures with all the girls wearing the same outfit. It doesn't matter to me. But in the interview, I was like, no. Like I had so many other outfits I could have worn that would have been so different and so stand out compared to that. And even just looking at it, now I see that it's a pretty outfit, but like when I think about Miss Universe Canada, I would have gone just with a different style than than that dress. And I did have other options, right? But you just don't know what others are going to wear. Like you could literally never plan to wear something that not everybody else will have unless if you have a very unique color or a very unique style. And again, it's the person, not the outfit, but it kind of sucks when judge after judge after judge is seeing pink, pink, white, white, pink, white, pink, white. And you can imagine that the person who's not wearing that same color naturally stands out because they have just a different color on compared to everybody. So looking back, I would not have worn that specific pink interview outfit in my interview, but I'm not saying you can't wear pink in interview. Okay. I want to make that very clear. I'm not saying you can't wear pink. I'm not saying you can't wear white. You could wear pink at your interview. You could wear pink at Miss Universe Canada next year, and you're the only one wearing pink. In my case, that was the opposite. Everyone freaking wore pink, and it was the year of the pink, and we made a joke about it, but I didn't even take a picture in it because I was so annoyed. I was like, oh, I feel basic. I don't want to take a picture in it. I did get a picture. They got pictures of all of us, but I'm saying I didn't take my own picture for the gram. I was like, no, we flopped on this. That's the second thing that I would go back and change. The third thing that I would go back and change so badly. Oh, it's so hard to think about the what ifs. Trust me, I know we can't go back and change it. I would have kept, this one pains me to say. I'm almost like pageant gals, don't look at me when I say this, but I would have kept my original swimwear routine. And you are probably like, Maria, what original swimwear routine? I had a swimwear routine. I must have practiced it only about 2,000 times leading up to the competition, as we do. And but right before prelims, nay more than 2 hours before prelims, I was at open stage. Open stage just means that there's certain times when you can go on the stage and practice when they aren't working on it and when you're not getting ready and it's not rehearsal. And a couple of the choreographers, a couple of the, like there was a former Miss Universe Canada there, a choreographer there. I was doing my routine and they were giving me edits, which I appreciate. I really do appreciate. Um, and a lot of it was do less. It was you don't want to look like you're trying so hard, which is like my biggest fear in pageantry because I've gotten that feedback before. I want them to know I'm a natural. I'm not trying too hard. I don't need this. Like I'm just going to glide on stage. But edit after edit after edit was made. And that's what created the performance you all saw, which by the way, gals, like I know I slayed. I know it looked good. But when I look at the other top 26 who made it and all the things that they were doing and all the turns and all the twists and all the poses, I'm like, okay, obviously none of you all went to open stage to get all the critiques and feedback, and that was only me because y'all are doing the most up there. And I had a much different set plan that would have given me more time on stage, that I would have been much more comfortable with because I'd been practicing it, that I would have had much better timing and pacing with because I'd been practicing the timing and pacing with that. And now with this new routine, though it's poses I know, I just wasn't practicing like counting out these things in my mind. And I like looking back, that was my biggest regret. My biggest regret. And again, nobody knows what you were going to do versus what you did on stage, but I know the performance I had in my back pocket probably would have been more interesting, more fun to watch than what I actually presented. And here's the thing, here's the biggest thing I want to say. I blame nobody. It was my decision to take the feedback and critique and implement them. That was my decision, not the former title holder, not the choreographer, not the choreographer's helper. It was my decision. And I actually like texted like my coach in my group. I was like, you guys, I'm going to edit things down. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I didn't do the full routine, but I could have found a middle ground with it where there would have been like one or two more things that I would have done to give myself that extra time. And PS, by the time that I was finishing up my last pose of this shortened routine, they were already calling the next girl. So it's like, even if I wanted to do more of what I wanted to do, it would have looked weird because they're calling another girl and I'm still on stage. So I just wish that there was more consistency of like how much time you're allowed on stage. Because I don't even think I was up there for like 26 seconds. I think when I look at the video, that's how long my routine was. And again, I wish that I know that looking back, other people had longer routines, and I wish I would have just taken my time. And that's what I literally tell my clients, and this is bad, and I apologize to all the choreographers out there, but I literally tell my clients, don't listen to choreographers. They want you to get the hell off the stage. And guess what? Your judges don't care. Your judges are looking for who's confident, for who's comfortable, for who's keeping their time and making the eye contact on stage. That's what they're looking for. And so if you're running off the stage in 26 seconds, they're like, oh, she don't look like she wants to be up here. So I literally tell my clients, don't listen to choreographers. But then I did because I love our choreographers. I love the helpers. I respect them. I want their feedback. Like they're the ones who do this year after year. And yeah, just looking back, I wouldn't have done that. So to each their own. And again, this is where I say next year, you might be up there doing the most simple of routine and you might win best in runway and win the title. It's different every year, but I just know based on what I saw in the prelim, not necessarily in the prelim. Honestly, I haven't even watched all the prelims, but in the final top 26, I was like, oh, these girls are doing a lot and they're going far. I get it. Pageantry isn't just simple, simple. We want the simple walk that goes. No, you can have a little bit more fun in your routine. Okay, two more things of what I would go back and do, only based on my circumstances at Miss Universe Canada. Don't take this and be like, okay, I'm going to do what Maria said. No, just my circumstance, what I would go back and change now, knowing that we can't do that. This is another outfit related one. Outfit related ones are tough because as if you didn't think that, I thought these outfit choices through a million times over. And then the competition's done. I'm like, man, I wouldn't have worn that. So the ultimate question of which gown do you wear for prelims and which gown do you wear for finals? You don't need two gowns. If you look at the past, most title holders wear two different gowns, okay? That is the fact. It's not a rule. It's just an observation over the last, I don't know, decade of title holders that I can at least remember being in this industry. And here's my thing. For those of you that haven't seen, I wore a red Porsche and Scarlet for prelims, and then I had a blue custom made gown that I rented for finals. Okay, it was from Rent a Gown TO. My girl Marina. I looked amazing. Thank you. I think the designer, his name is Steph. He's from Toronto, so Canadian designer. Shout out. I decided to wear the red gown for prelims and not for I went back and forth. I went back and forth. I went back and forth with my family, with my coach, with just all of the people. And we decided red for prelims because it was gorgeous. It looked amazing. It gave very like Spanish sensual vibes when I walked. It was my Catriona dress. And I knew that the blue would be very stand out in finals because most girls stray away from like bright blues on stage. So I knew that it would stand out in finals a lot more. I also went back and forth in adding a cape to the red gown, like the blue gown had a cape. I went back and forth adding a cape to the red gown and I was like, you know what? I don't need a cape. Like the dress is gorgeous in itself until you get to prelims. And everyone and their mother is wearing a red dress, so much so that another girl had the exact same dress on. It looked different on her. There was a little difference in the top of it and just in the fit of it that even side by side, you would be like, are these the same dress? But there was a lot of red happening at prelims. So I can only imagine that had I worn the royal blue at prelims, that it would have been just such a natural standout because everyone was wearing red. Red, neutrals, whites, those compete very well. It's Miss Universe Canada. We're all an original. It happens. And then, of course, now looking at it, I didn't get to wear the blue gown at finals because I didn't make it that far. And again, you never know. And I also wanted to wear the red gown for prelims because I actually paid for that one. That's my dress. I have her in my closet. And she was a lot more than the blue gown. So I was like, well, if I'm going to wear this gown, I want to wear it for something I know I'm going to get to wear on stage and actually present. So that was kind of also one of the reasons why I decided to wear red for prelims and the blue for finals. And again, don't take this advice. Like, I'm not giving this to you as advice. You might say, okay, I'm going to wear a royal blue dress for prelims. And the next year, everybody wears royal blue for prelims. But what I do wish that I did, if we're going to talk about it, I wish I brought my royal blue gown to finals with me. or two prelims with me. That way I could have seen, oh my gosh, everybody's wearing red. I'm going to switch to the blue. I didn't do that. Rookie mistake. This is how you get so wise after, like, this is why I had to start a coaching business. I have too much knowledge that I got to share with you all. That is the fourth thing. We're going to go on to the last thing. I see everybody joining on here. Hello to our live podcast recording on Instagram that is happening right now as we speak. The last thing that I wish I would have done, we're going to close it out here. I'm sure I could keep going on to the hundreds of other things that we all just think and wish and regret from our competitions. But the last thing that I would do differently, or I would go back and change if I had the chance to, it would be I wish I had someone else style my hair. Now, I will always, always, always do my own makeup. Nobody's touching this face. Nobody's touching this bead. Even if other people do makeup beautifully, I like the way that I do my makeup, and it's very therapeutic and comforting for me to do my own makeup. My hair is a different story. This competition, I've already mentioned, I had hair extensions in. It was my first time. I was flying high all week. I felt like I was a different woman. Like, you know, when you get a tan and you're like, I am the most beautiful person in the world. That was me with my hair extensions, and I loved them, and they looked great all week. But the overall styling, especially when it's the end of the day, it's the end of the week, my hair doesn't get volume. And I know that other hairstylists get volume to my hair. I've had that happen. But what happened was when I went to the prelim hairstyle room, I was looking around and nobody was available. There was kind of nowhere to get in line for prelims. And some of at the time, the hairstylists that I saw weren't styling the hair. They were like curling the hair. So I didn't even really know if I wanted to go up to someone, like, who do I go up to? Where do I go? And I just kind of decided, you know what, my hair looks good on its own. Like, it looks fine. Same with prelims, same for finals. But looking back, even at the photos that I probably could have gotten, I only got photos behind the scenes and behind the stage. And I tried my hardest. My hair, my top hairs, you can go back on my Instagram and see a live that I did while I was getting ready. It was in rollers. I had powder. I had spray. I was back combing. I was doing everything. And within hours, it looked like I had no volume to my hair. And I don't know. That's going to be my next mountain to conquer, because my hair just doesn't get styled. And here's the thing, ladies, like, people, again, everything is being judged, everything is being seen. And if you're going to this elaborate competition, like a universe level pageant, and your hair looks flat or it looks messy, it's not curled, the makeup doesn't look good, and you're wearing these like elaborate custom couture dresses, it looks odd. It looks weird. And that's where you want to be honest. You have to be honest with yourself and look at that. And sometimes that's a hard thing as a coach. It's hard for me to look at clients and be like, why are you not upset that your makeup looks that way? Why are you looking at me with your hair looking like that and you don't seem concerned? Right? Like, I know when I don't look my best, I don't feel great. I'm like, okay, if I got to perform, I got to perform. But some of you are unaware that your image matters, and this is still a pageant, and you're still being judged based on your image. Again, hindsight 2020, I didn't even get that far in finals, but for prelims, I know my hair looked good, but I know it could have looked better with some like really professional styling that unfortunately also in Canada, we just don't really have. We don't have those same hairstylists who get pageant hair. So that's also what kind of held me back from even like trying to get someone to do my hair, is just the fact that we don't have a lot of hairstylists that actually understand pageant hair. And I've actually gone to hairstylists like locally in the area who they will try to do something to my hair and it falls flat and it goes straight because they said, "Oh, I can totally do it this way." And I'm like, my hair won't listen to you if you do that. So that was another thing. That was the last thing as well. The last thing of the top 5, I would say. These are like the main 5. Honestly, when I think about it, there's not much that I would change. There really isn't. I had an incredible week. I love like 99% of my outfits. I still loved all my outfits. I just would have worn some at different times. I love the way I felt throughout the week. I love the way that I performed. Like, I look back at the videos and I'm like, y'all, I'm not silly. I'm not dumb. I'm not crazy. I looked good. But there are always going to be things that we could change. There's always going to be something that we can improve. I do this even if I win. I look back and I'm like, okay, my leg extensions weren't super great. Oh, this could have been a little bit smoother. I would have done this differently. There's always going to be something that we can change. And it's so important to be completely honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself so that others don't always have to be honest with you, because people aren't always going to be honest with you. They're not going to tell you these things. These are hard things that you got to admit and you got to be able to look at. But the best thing that you can do is have that self-awareness and be honest with yourself. There's nothing worse that I hate than when someone says, I wouldn't change a thing. I get the intention behind that. And I get that you can be fully proud of what you did, but there's always going to be something to improve, win or lose. Whether it's, a fingernail out of place or something like that, there's always going to be something that we can all improve. And again, I'm telling you all this right now, and a different day, a different set of judges, I could have been on top with the same gowns, with the same hair, with the same training, with the same styling, with all the same prep and performance. The outcome could have been different. Had the panel been different, had the group been different, had it just been a different day. It happens. You got to remember, it's pageants, it's a game. Sometimes we play well and we win. Sometimes we play and we don't win. Sometimes you get the podium. Sometimes you get the backstage moments. And that's what it is. And it's okay. And I'm breaking it all down here so that you can understand. You might listen to this episode and even just think to yourself, okay, I'm going to bring a backup gown with me to prelims so that if I see everybody else wearing a certain color, I'll change mine. And by the way, that's not I'm not saying you have to do that, because a true competitor, Miss Universe, might be like, I don't care what everyone else is wearing. I'm wearing my dress that I set. And that was my mindset as well. I was like, I'm not going to change my dress based on what everyone else is doing. It all depends how you want to take it, but you have to own the decision and you got to stand by it no matter what. And that's where I say, when I chose certain outfits, when I changed certain routines, I stood by those decisions. Those were my decisions that I made. Whether they were good, whether they were, relevant, or if they helped me or not, that's a different conversation. But I stand by the decisions that I made. Because if there's one thing that we got to have our own autonomy, that we make the decisions for ourselves. Nobody else controls what we do. That got serious at the end. Okay, ladies, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, if this episode helped you, if this was beneficial to you, send me a DM at the Pageant Gal on Instagram. And again, if you want the entire behind the scenes scoop of why I believe I didn't place and what I would have done truly differently if I were training to compete next year, that you can take and bring with you into your competition, whether it's at this system or a different one, you can purchase the replay of the VIP, El Tocuyo Tell All, below in the show notes. And I just look forward. I love you all. I'm so happy that you listen to this. I love doing this podcast, and I just hope that we get to connect soon. We get to chat, work together, and that I will see you in another episode.